right, dude, episode 3. We're back. We've made it. Officially a month we've been doing this.
Wow.
Hard to believe.
This is the most consistent we've ever been.
As far as timing,
Yes.
our last venture, I feel like episode-wise we went pretty far, but it was kind of sporadic.
Right.
But now,
We're in it to win it.
we've put it on schedules, it's on the calendar. We've got a whole system in place now. You're talking about getting a toolbox for the podcast stuff. We got 2 mics.
Can we just give it up? Can we give it up for just a second?
You should be able to hear us so much better. Next, we might have one of those arms. I mean, we're just slowly building
An empire.
Yeah. Who knows what? I don't know what comes after that. Maybe we put some money in our pockets.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
Yeah. Because, I mean, we don't need a studio.
Yeah, we just.
If we get that big.
Yeah. But we have 2 mics now.
2 mics.
So we should be able to hear each other.
Yep.
Well, you should be able to hear us. We can hear each other.
I've been able to hear you this whole
Yeah,
time.
I have no problems.
Yeah.
But we're just continuing to move on up in the world. Last time, what did we do? We upgraded something last time. We lost our American flag.
Oh, we lost our American. Yeah. That's right.
But
I was hiding Easter eggs in
Yeah.
the set. But the Easter egg's pretty out front.
Yeah.
It's the new microphone.
yeah, it is. And we also launched a new platform to figure out how in the world to communicate with the people who want to engage and consume content without having to jump a bunch of hoops.
Yeah.
We just bit the bullet and we moved all of our stuff over to SKOOL, which I've liked SKOOL
I
so
love
far.
it.
I mean, one, it's really not a social media platform. It really is an educational. I mean, it's called SKOOL, for
Right.
goodness sake. But, I mean, you can engage with people there. It's so easy to put things in the SKOOL group, and then we can email if things need to go out that way. It's free to be a part of. So, look, like if you're watching this and you're not in our SKOOL group, maybe you were a part of our old private Facebook group or even to a degree our email list, like you should be in our SKOOL group.
For sure.
I mean, because one, it's how we can communicate.
Yeah.
There's also, we let people know when new content's out. We can easily publish links to the blog and to our YouTube in there, and you can watch it and consume it in there.
Right.
But even our courses that we have so far, so our devotional for Orphan Heart and our devotional on being a saint and not being a sinner, is in. It's in there,
Yeah.
so you can and you have access to all those things. And then my favorite part really is the gamifying, where you can get points for commenting and creating cool content, people liking and commenting on it. You'll upgrade your level,
Right.
and then when you upgrade levels, you get access to content that's only exclusive to certain levels and free stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, we like design. I like coming up with ideas. You like designing things. You know how to do those ideas. We've got a sticker ready to give away the first, to people who make it to level 3.
Yeah.
So, if you haven't, go join our SKOOL. Introduce yourself. Comment on some posts. Get some people to comment on your things. Level up to level 3. You get a free sticker.
Yeah. So the engagement part about it is it's very, from somebody who is not, and I have our business account on Facebook and Instagram, so I can see those and I'll get on those every once in a while to engage with certain things, but I'm not on, so it's great not having a Facebook account where now I can engage in that world as well. So for those people that don't have social media, it does feel like a little bit of enough of it of the right kind of social media interaction
without the distractions of doom scrolling or
Yes.
seeing everything under the sun
I've never
or
heard
getting
that term
ads.
before.
Yeah, I mean it's a real deal.
Yeah.
But you're not gonna get ads for other things in there. You're not gonna get sideswiped or lose focus. Like, you're there to engage with a community of people who are like-minded, who are trying to accomplish the same things. Comment, talk about, create your own posts in there. Share articles. We got a spot for things you're reading in Scripture. What's God saying to you in Scripture? If there's things you're needing prayer for, you can put those things in there as well. Things you learn from the blog, we're what like you could watch our YouTube videos, and if you got comments, you want to start a thread about those things as well. It can all be in that one platform.
Yeah,
We don't have to go all over the place to do it.
Yeah.
So join our school group. It is completely free. So
And we should be able to put a link. Like, isn't that what they do? in
link here.
videos?
Yeah, I think I could put the little card thing at the top that slides up, and there should be a link. So Fox, when you're watching this in just a little bit to edit, we're doing this.
That's what that's meant.
Yeah, I'll make sure to put a card there. So cool. I don't know why I clapped, but
You're pumped.
I know I pumped for a lot of reasons. I mean, we went to a wrestling event where our church gathers. Tell me your thoughts. We haven't really talked about it for real.
I loved it. I hated the intermissions. I wish it would have been a little bit tighter on the time thing because we were there for over 3 hours.
Yeah.
But it was awesome and awful, and it was better than what I thought it was going to be. On multiple levels, we had a lot of laughs. We had a good group there. So I mean, overall, it was a great experience.
It was everything I hoped that it would be,
Yes.
which was just a glorious train wreck.
Yeah.
The only thing that stunk was that I was sick and didn't have a voice.
Yes.
And so, because I wanted to do what some of the other guys were doing, like yell at the wrestlers.
You got one good one in though. When O'Hagan or whatever his name was from the
When I was talking
Irish.
about Warren Jordan.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
he said, "Don't you dare talk about Warren
Yeah,
Jordan."
yeah, but if I would have had a full voice, it
Yeah.
would have been like, it literally sounded like I had a demon come in.
Because I'm going to recoup my voice right now. That's the only reason I can do that, because my
Dude.
voice is shot. But
Dude.
I've told that story multiple times of you standing up. Like,
Don't you dare talk about my school like that.
The other one was, you know that meme that went around for a long time of Arthur where it was just his hand? That lady that was in front of us, that grandma, there was a group of bad guys had come in and were, they'll all work the side rails or whatever, and we're talking to kids and making fun of people and stuff. And that one lady stood up and her hands were clenched behind her back. She was there. She was fully invested in that moment.
I am pretty convinced that she has lived her entire life and no one's told her, or she refuses to believe that wrestling is predetermined.
Yeah.
As a wrestling fan,
she was
they're all playing characters. I don't think she knows that they're playing characters.
Yeah, it got kind of like we were all a little scared she might say something she shouldn't have.
Oh, for sure. I was like, guys, week one, we are in a small town, and you might not be her demographic.
Well, the thing that was also very interesting was there were a lot of kids there.
Yeah.
There were a lot of kids there, and the watching kids react was really fun.
Yeah,
because
sure.
they were fully invested.
They thought it was just as real as the grandmother did.
And the grandmother was there. I mean, she was.
That was fun.
Yeah.
We had some in the wing, the college kids behind us that were swearing every other word. But
my ears are still ringing from them. I was getting the brunt of it, man. They pulled out one solid comment.
Yeah, we can't
which
even
we
say
can't
it on
air
the show.
here. But
yeah.
I'll just let you know that it was. They were not funny the whole night until that moment. They got their. It took 3 hours to get one good one-liner in. But
yeah, I mean it was spot on.
It was good.
And I can never see that wrestling in any other life.
They might as well change his name to that.
Yeah, dude. Oh man, it was fun.
Yeah,
I had a lot
great.
of fun. Like that. Kudos. I mean, those dudes probably got off work and came in, or took a paid time, or maybe not even a paid time off. Just
might have made more money
sick
doing
day.
that wrestling. Yeah, sure.
I don't know about that.
Maybe, who knows?
I don't know. Maybe. But
I hope they did.
Yeah, I do too. There was a good crowd.
Yeah.
The wild thing was they were selling Little Caesars pizza, the $5 boxes, and each piece of pizza was $3.
Yeah. It was a racket.
That's insane. No, that's
Genius
on their part.
Yeah. I was actually talking to my mom was describing it to a friend of hers when I was picking up the kids the other day, and she was explaining it. She was trying to explain it. I was like,
Was she there?
She wasn't.
Oh.
And she goes, "Did you?" She kind of was explaining it, and then she was like, did you go? I was like, yeah, what you're talking about, you've glammed it up. It was not like that at all. And I went to the nitty gritty. I got down and I was like, no. It was not. Everything you're saying makes it sound like it was way better than what it was. But again, that was the point though.
Yeah.
It was just a good, solid 3 hours of.
If you're not from here and you see a flyer for a local wrestling event in the bingo hall or an armory or a senior adult center, like, you should get a group of friends together and just go.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah. I think that made it more fun because
100%.
if I was there by myself.
Yeah. And
But
there
we
were
could
some
play.
guys.
Yeah.
There were some guys there by themselves.
Yeah, for sure.
And
We were sitting near one that I was like, I don't know if they don't know that it's predetermined.
yeah, right. Yeah. So it was definitely having friends there was what made
Because
it.
we just played up with each other.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I would have never stood up by myself to defend my high school had I not been with more people. But it was fun. It was $18 for 3 hours of entertainment.
Yep.
I enjoyed it.
You missed the after party at Huddle House.
I'm surprised you went.
I made it, and I was still as amped up as I was at the first hour. At third hour in, I was not. I was going down. Y'all could tell I was losing energy. It was time to go to sleep. But then when I got to Huddle House,
I'm pretty sure I might have had the vid.
you think so?
I think so. My energy levels.
Let's talk about how.
Can I say that word and us not get flagged on YouTube?
Well, let's talk about you don't want to offer any advice
Right.
after that word. Can we talk about how that you can nonchalantly say that and then like
2024, I can.
Yeah, man, that's wild.
Yeah, I'm pretty positive that I did.
Well, if
Looking
you wouldn't
back
have
now.
had it before, if you went to Huddle House, you certainly would have.
Yeah. I mean, sick. I didn't lose taste, but lost my voice completely. Energy levels down.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe not. It was something for sure. But, and then more breaking news, like, you have leveled up on your coaching for flag football. Because
Yes.
you are now a full-blown assistant coach
Yes.
for the Gardendale Falcons.
Yes. I still don't know all the rules. Our buddy, Jay Beard,
He let you know the rules? Is he
was
still reffing?
Yes.
Okay.
He refs and he coaches a team, but he was reffing and he was on my side, on the bench side. And so he would talk me through, as he was calling the game, he was talking me through a lot of the rules. So it was very helpful. It was good that I was there at that particular time because I got a lot of insight. Certain things that I already kind of knew based on watching them play, but were a little bit more nuanced. And so there's all kinds of things. It made it at least a little bit more enjoyable to watch and know exactly what needed to happen on certain plays and stuff like that. I got to talk to a lot of the players when they came and sat down on the bench and chatted up with them. And so I was a glorified cheerleader there for the emotional support of the children.
You could be like the strength and conditioning coach.
That's right. Yeah. So I had a blast.
Did you give any like tips or advice or anything?
Because flag guarding is a big thing, right? The flag guarding thing's probably, I would say, if you're getting a penalty called, more than likely
You're
it's
like trying to keep them from
it's either where your hands are or a spin. And I found out that you can spin, you just can't spin. You can't spin into the person. You can spin away, but you can't spin into them. And, I mean, if you're 11 years old, I don't know how you're running full blast trying to score a touchdown, how you remember which way to turn. But I was able just to basically say, keep pressure on. One of the things I realized, too, is that our teams, basically both teams have this problem of once kids got on the outside, they were gone. They were pretty much running touchdown. If they get on the outside, then we were trying to press them into the middle. Because it's hard to grab those flags. I mean, you would think the number one reason that people are not scoring touchdowns would be a bunch of different things. The reason that kids are scoring touchdowns is because a kid goes full blast trying to grab a flag, and then all their gusto's gone after they swat one time.
Yeah.
And so, trying to encourage them to, finish plays, stuff that I can. That's within my measure. I don't know how to tell them how to do certain things, but I was like, these 3 or 4 things, I was like, I can keep saying this stuff over and over again. So it was fun.
You think, here's what I would love to see happen, is that you just start dropping "Remember the Titans" one-liners in. Like you bring them over to the side.
You make them remember this was the day they faced the Falcons.
You just look at one of them, you bring them and say, "I don't want them to gain another yard."
You hear me? Another yard. Now, I remember that movie. That's actually a really good idea.
Dude, you
any
should.
football game, any football movie.
And just start throwing those quotes in. Dude, that would be so funny if you just started dropping "Remember the Titans" ones in.
I will probably have to do that now. It's really my only reference point for actual football knowledge anyway. So
I remember going to see that movie as a kid and like leaving the theater just like jacked up. Just like, let's play football on this pavement right now. Dude.
Yeah.
It's still a good movie.
Yeah. Well, we lost again. It was a really good game. We were up at the beginning. We're up in the half, and it just made some really bad plays there at the very end, within the last 5 minutes, where we lost the game. Mm-hmm. And so,
would you say coaching?
Huh?
Was it like the coaches? Are y'all taking the blame?
No, absolutely not. In fact, I wouldn't know really how to talk to a group of kids that are not my kids the way
sure.
that you need to talk to them.
Yeah.
When it's like, again,
hey Stevie, I don't know if football's your thing, buddy.
Well, but that's the thing is, like, our coach is very good at being funny, but also being like, you're not doing the right thing, And so I would take that very well. You're kind of laughing, but at the same time you're like, okay, I need to do better. But that all went out the window. Nobody likes to lose. I think I texted you. I was like, man, I hate losing. This is probably why I have not been involved in this, because I just hate this feeling over and over again. So when he got him crowded up on the sideline at the end of the game, it was just like he was chopping them up. And it was true, It's like a lot of them half our team has a really bad attitude, If you make one bad play, it compounds. The next play gets bad, and you just do, silly things or whatever. And, in the past, I might have looked at stuff like that and be like, oh my gosh, guys, it's just a game. But maybe even pertaining to some of the stuff that we'll be talking about here in just a little bit, in order to help somebody grow, you have to confront places where you're not doing well, and you have to learn how to take that information and then apply it immediately.
Yeah.
Or you're not going to succeed, And so hearing harsh things like, you did the wrong thing on this play. I told you, you did the wrong thing. I mean, it's like parenting or anything else. But when you're playing a game and trying to do that, it's been interesting to watch our coach kind of handle that stuff. So
I mean, you could just go rent a van, drive to all of their houses at like 4 a.m, pick them up,
go to a graveyard,
make them run to a graveyard, give a speech on racial reconciliation, and then
half the team's white and half the team's black, so we can make that happen.
And then win the championship, dude. That's all. Y'all have so. How many games you got left?
I think 5.
You got 1 win. You're 1 in.
No. We won a scrimmage game.
Oh, dude, I didn't even know that.
We're 0-5.
Okay.
We're going into Saturday, and Declan can't play. We're going on vacation. Declan can't play Saturday and can't play Monday. And I would never listen. I love Declan. I love my kid. Going into this, my thought is not my dude is going to be the guy. But he's the guy.
Yeah.
Like, he's doing really good.
Yeah.
Scored 2 of the touchdowns for the last game. I mean,
he's him.
He's solid.
The kids would say, he's him. He's him.
I don't know. I don't even know. I've never heard that, but yes, that's
he's him.
He's him.
Yeah.
So he came in the last night before he went to bed, and he said, he was really concerned. He was like rubbing his chin and stuff. He's like, I don't know. And if you listen to him, he starts talking different when he gets really like amped up. He's like, I don't know what my team's gonna do. I don't know what my team's gonna do. I was like, who are you right now? What are you talking about? He's like, I don't know what my team's gonna do, man. Without me on Saturday and on Monday, I don't know what my team's gonna do. I was like, go to bed. Like, what are you talking about? First off, get a little bit of humility. Like, chill out. You're not him. You're not that guy. I'm gonna have to start, beating him down a little bit. But yeah, he's not playing Saturday or Monday, and we're back at it on Tuesday.
We gotta get to 500, man.
Yeah.
So maybe we rent the bus tonight. We're
Make it happen.
Grabbing all the boys and taking them for the trip and giving them a speech.
Instill it.
Yeah. You have to do it.
Yeah.
Anything else going on?
The only other thing that I thought has been worth or notable is that my oldest son asked a girl to homecoming.
I forgot about that.
So that's been I've had so much fun with it.
Yeah, like, so what is that interaction like?
So originally it was, he said something about wearing some kind of clothes or something. If you look at my son's dress, my oldest son, he looks like any guy that you would see on a park bench in downtown that hasn't had access to clean running water, or he's got the bum look.
Yeah.
Fortunately now he takes showers on a regular, so hygiene wise he's doing a lot better, but he wears very baggy either joggers, sweatpants, and like a hoodie.
He's all about comfort.
He 100%. I don't care what I look like. I just want to be okay, feel okay, right? So he says something about wearing something. I was like, well, why would you want to wear that? You never wear that. And he's like, he kind of was like, well, I'm trying to ask this girl to homecoming.
What did he wear?
Like, he wanted to wear. No, he said something about not wearing a hoodie. That's what it was.
You're like,
no, yeah. For us, that's like, you know, you want to chop off one of your arms. You know, that's as serious as a comment as you
right.
get. So it was like, why do you not want to wear this hoodie? And he's like, well, I'm trying to ask this girl to homecoming. And I was like, first off, I didn't know you wanted to go to homecoming. I didn't know that you're interested in girls. Like, this has been just a very new thing. He's 13, so I knew this was coming. But anyway, so he's like, he texts me that day after, probably near the end of school, and he's like, that girl's gonna go with me to homecoming. I was like, oh, I put the text like,
my
guy.
guy.
And I said something else like how did it go or something like that. Anyway, so he was like, I asked a guy to give her a bracelet.
Oh, I was gonna ask how he asked.
Yeah, and then, and I was like, well, that doesn't. What do you mean? That doesn't make any. Walk me through how that means she's going with you to homecoming. He's like, well, I didn't get an actual yes. He said that she said she would go with me, and I was like, well, so we gotta get the bag. Like, we've gotta move this along. So then I'm like,
for all you know, she's going to homecoming with your buddy.
Yeah,
hey, sweetie, I got this bracelet for you. Will you go to homecoming with me?
You've got to secure this.
Yeah, she said,
yeah, not happening. So then he's like, I'm gonna ask her, because he was all like, oh, the Riz is just dripping off me, all this kind of stuff, and I was like, you gotta kick it in the high gear. So he was like, what do I even say to her? And so I, at this point, turned into like goofy, and so I gave him a pickup line, and I thought it was great. I thought it was good. I said, you should say, and I said it just like this, yo, girl, I didn't know you was into Pokemon. And he's like, and you can see my son just being like completely cringe. He's like holding his face. I was like, because I've already taken a peek at you. And he was like, this, I would never say that as the most cringy thing ever. And I was like, well, you need to say something. You need to make sure. So he comes back, he sends me a text, and he had written her a note, and he wrote her a note. She wrote him a note back that said, of course, I'd like to go with you. I've actually had a crush on you since the beginning of the year. And I was like, my guy. So he's on like cloud nine.
Oh,
I'm happy for him. So
the homecoming dance or
it's a dance.
The game?
It's a dance, yeah. Oh. Yeah. So it's not school.
Is he gonna dance?
I have no clue. I mean, I'm seeing he goes. At first, he was like, he's into magic. He's into very
flower.
Let me clarify.
Out of a wand.
Let me clarify.
He's got a top hat on.
For my next trick, the Amazing Kingston. Yeah, Magic, the card game.
Sure.
Right. He said that he's like, no girl is gonna go with me. So he went the route of like denial. Like, I shouldn't even ask her, because who's gonna want to go out with me? So, but he's made this hard switch from like not liking those things, but like, okay, like confidence booster. So it's been very interesting to watch him go from like, this is never gonna happen, to I didn't die.
Yeah.
You know, kind of thing. So
I feel like Magic is kind of in, like, for most
Post
people.
Malone.
I would say Post Malone.
Please, man.
He spent an absurd amount of money on one card. I don't know the exact dollar amount, but it was an absurd amount of money.
It's not like it used to be.
Sure, for sure. Kids who were playing Magic when I was in high school or middle school, no chance. But well, kudos to him. Like, I think it's when you get the courage to write a note and give it to someone. But now, like, when they go to this dance, I'm curious. Like, I've been to a middle school dance. Sure. It's mostly just standing around.
Well, and we'll be out of town,
right,
for it. So Jennifer's parents are going to take him. So we've already been kind of like, what's this going to, especially with none of us being able to view or see. And so, which is leading into another place of parenting because he got her number. Okay. So we're not, I'm being fast tracked into another level. You know, of course, Kingston doesn't have social media. He just got a phone. And so Jennifer, even was last night, she was like, we really need to be talking to him about these, what did these interactions look like? Which I was even interested in asking you. You're thinking about like being a dad of girls. Sure. Like how that stuff transpires. Because again, by the way that we communicated, me and Jennifer communicated, was through AOL Instant Messenger.
Or the phone after 9 o'clock at night. Yeah.
But I mean,
because it was free minutes.
Sure. Right. But that was like, and I didn't have a phone until I was 16. And that was a very limited, but when me and Jennifer first started talking, the only way we communicated was through AOL Messenger. So it's just it's so different, and like the way that looks. And so it's just an interesting time to be able to talk to him. And there's all these, I do like girls, I'm pursuing a girl, and it's like, I don't, not that to say that he shouldn't be doing that or any of those kinds of things. It's just wild that it went from like 0 to 1,000 within like a couple of days.
Yeah, but then it's like really easy to say anything here, right? I feel like I can express what's in here. Yeah. Instead of having to figure out how to get it from here to here. Yeah. Or here to here to here. Yeah. They're just like boom, fingers. Right. And that's dangerous, but at the same time, I mean, that is the world we live in. So that's why active parenting and not just being like aloof to what's going on. As long as you're aware and I don't think you're going to screw it up at all. But I think good rules are, again, this is like extra biblical, but it's like, don't have your phone in your room past a certain time. Yep. I mean, that's a big one. I mean, my parents were like, I had to put my phone in a different room by 10 o'clock at night. Like, it charged in another bedroom. Yep. I thought that was crazy, but I understand why. Because when college, when I didn't have that rule in place, it can get it can get squirrely really fast. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Even our girls are nowhere near having a phone, but like no devices in the room ever at nighttime. Yep. So, well, keep us updated on how the homecoming dance goes. Yeah. Hey, real quick, we're about to get into the meat of our topic today. But before we do, I really wanted to talk one more time about our SKOOL platform. If you're not a part of our SKOOL platform, please use the link in the comments below to join our SKOOL. That's where all of our content comes out. You'll get access to courses that we're putting out. We've got 2 devotionals in there, one on embracing and working through your orphan heart and being a son of God. The second one being on living your life as a saint who sins and not a sinner who's just trying to get through this place and all that good stuff. So hey, check it out. Our SKOOL, please be a part of it. Engage. We got free gifts, free awards, all kinds of things in there. Don't miss out.
All right. Well, today, I think we want to talk about resilience. And this is a real big part of the Sons and Saints idea.
Yeah, for sure.
We want to be resilient, and we see the path of sonship and sainthood being the path that helps secure that. So I thought it would be interesting just kind of talk about a couple of things. I think the first question I would like to pose is, in your mind or in an ideal scenario, what does a resilient man look like? How would you describe that? What would you describe a resilient man looking like?
Man, I always go to that scripture where Jesus says that just let your yes be yes and your no be no. Like if you say you're going to do something, do that thing. And if you're not going to do something, you can say I'm not going to do that thing either. I think being able like one, like your word matters.
Mm-hmm.
I think so that from that framework, then that is the path forward into resiliency because now I'm like, all right, I said I'm either going to do this thing or I'm not going to do this thing. And now from that, I'm going to do everything I can to accomplish whatever I said I was going to do. Now, you might give your absolute best in something and realize you just can't do that thing. I think that's fine. I don't think resiliency is now whatever I put my mind to, I'm just going to do, and now I'm impenetrable, or like that's not the case at all. I just think I'm gonna try my best to be who I say I'm going to be and do what I say I'm going to do at all times, and it's one of the most important values that I have in life.
Yeah.
So that would be a starting point for me.
I think I'm along the exact same lines. I always think about when Jesus says the person who hears what I say and then does these things is like a person who builds a house on a rock. And the reason I like that story is because it doesn't exempt. Nothing about following Jesus makes you exempt from hardship. So it's the same storm, it's just different foundation. And then he says when the winds and the rain come, the storm comes, it'll beat against that house, but because it's built on a solid foundation, it'll remain, it'll stay.
Yeah.
And
that's why I love that song, Firm Foundation.
Mm-hmm.
That part where it gets to rain came, wind blew, but my house was built on you. Like it always hits like here because I'm like, man, I have definitely been through stuff, and not just me. The life of a Christian, you will go through stuff, but if you can, you can trust in like my house being built, my family being built, my faith in life being built on the firm foundation that is Jesus means that we can go through storms, but it's not gonna we're not gonna collapse.
Yeah,
we might bend and shift and sway, like. The storm comes or thunder happens and your house can kind of rattle, but the whole thing doesn't come crumbling down. Like it's gonna rattle in moments. You're gonna feel some of the things, but like, man, that's just a reassuring thing for me to know that like, no, God's got me in this.
Yeah, I think that's probably when I think about resiliency or think about helping people get on a path that helps them be resilient. I'm not thinking necessarily. I would have in the past. I would have said, "Well, you do these things that makes you resilient."
Right.
But it really is true, and that is true. There are things that you need to practice that make you more resilient. But like you're just saying, there's something about the realization that Christ is the one really holding you, the one that He's really the one that is forming you and fashioning you. It's like, and that gives hope to places where you don't feel resilient, maybe you can still trust that even in those moments that feel shaky, like you said, that there's not an undoing of everything that you're living in. I've been thinking lately too, just because of walking through this very slow walk through 1st and 2nd Corinthians, and Paul is he is in his second letter. Very different tone than the first letter. The first letter, he's like, guys, there's a lot of like, you're doing this wrong. You're being very immature. His second letter is like, he's coming to them and saying, I hate that I had to be that harsh with you guys, but I'm thankful for what it's produced in you. But then he also has this tone of, I have this place with you guys, and I've been through a lot, and I'm hoping that even though I seem like a weak person in person with you, that you understand that that's a not necessarily the reality of my life. And he starts talking about all the things he's been through.
Yeah.
And he's not trying to be prideful. He's trying to say, I've been built to be a resilient person by Christ. And he lists all these things. He talks about being adrift at sea for 3 days. He talks about, being stoned. He talks about being whipped. He talks about being persecuted, constant. He says, everywhere I go, People are trying to hurt me. People are trying to do this stuff. And he says all that, and he says not to mention the anxiety I carry for the church as a whole. And if you look at his letters as a whole, he's like constantly going, hey guys, remember, hey guys, he's doing all these things. All the while, headed as he's writing these letters, facing eventually death. And so, I'm looking at Paul as a man who is constantly facing all these really difficult things, but continually is, as he says, he's pressed, but he's not crushed. He's persecuted, but he's not abandoned. He's the one saying these things. And to me, he constantly makes the case that this is not just for him. This is something that we can experience as believers as we walk stuff out, no matter what comes our way, that we can be resilient. Meaning, we can withstand things that would normally, for a lot of people, be the thing that takes them completely out of the picture, whether emotionally, spiritually, or physically, or mentally, or whatever. And so, out of that, I think my question would even be, when we're talking about resiliency, I think we would see ourselves as resilient men, that God's formed us in that. I don't think we would say that as a prideful thing. We would say that as a matter of God working in our lives. We've seen God build resiliency in us. Paul lists out all those things. For you, what would you say? Your time frame can be whatever it is as far as like how far you'd reach back. But what would you say are some of the main things that have happened or that you've experienced that's helped make you into a person of resilience?
Yeah. I think even like before you even answer that, I think, and this is our culture too, that only people who are successful are resilient. Mm-hmm. And that's not the truth. I don't want successes to be your defining moments for resiliency. Because that has nothing to do with any of those things, right? Even on the crushing and being pressed in our culture today, a lot of people confuse pressing for crushing. I'm being crushed, so therefore I've got to get out of here. Yeah. I don't want to embrace the pressing. As a believer, we're going to be pressed. We're going to be formed more into the image of Jesus. That's part of the process of our old life being worked out of us so that we can go into the new life. So there's almost, I really do embrace the pressing. Now, do I want to be pressed all the time? I'd rather not. Sure. I'm thankful that the Lord is so kind and generous to know when to press and when I can just breathe and then work out more processes. But what happens is we start getting pressed. We're like, no, my life's coming to an end, or this isn't good. So I've got to get out of this thing. And so we don't stay in that pressing phase for God to work the things for resiliency to form. Yeah. If you can't, that is how, you don't wake up one day as a resilient person. Right. Yeah. It's forged through trials, and through pressing, through the hard things that are not comfortable. Mm-hmm. That's how you become resilient. For me personally, I would say faith, first and foremost, was a huge one. Because I did say, when I first said yes to Jesus, it wasn't really a hard yes. It was a pretty popular yes. Mm. A lot of folks were saying yes to Jesus. But then I had to say yes to Jesus again in my 20s when all of my friends abandoned faith. And I was like, I felt the weight of that yes.
Yeah. And inside that, keep on that train of thought, but can you interject, when you say that, you had to say yes. Define that. When you say that, what do you mean? Because I think when people hear that, they might be like, okay, cool, yes, say yes to Jesus. But when you're saying it, you're saying you made an initial yes to Jesus, but you had to make another yes in your 20s. What do you mean when you're saying that?
I said Jesus as Savior of my life as a kid, teenager. In my 20s, I had to say yes to Jesus as Lord of my life.
Wow, okay. Yeah, that's a good distinction, because I think we can make that we can make it sound like it's something that it's not.
Sure, yeah.
So I think defining is good, because this is part of your formation, right? Yeah. You're saying that's what helped form.
This is no longer a side piece or a bracelet that I can wear or an add-on in my bio on, at that time would have been MySpace or Facebook. That I'm a Christian.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
It became my identity in that moment. Okay, I'm all in on like there's no. I have decided like not just to trust you, but to follow you.
Yeah.
And now wherever you take me, and sometimes he'll take me kicking and screaming places.
Sure.
Sometimes he'll let me run back, and then I'll be like, nope, I've got to go this way.
Yeah.
But that was what in my 20s that happened. So that was, I would say, marker number one was in that moment. It was like, okay, Jesus is not just a side piece. He really is the main thing. And now I'm going to follow him and see what this life looks like. He has a say now in every part of my life.
Mm-hmm.
My thinking, what I do with my life, how I vote, all the things now is like submitted to Jesus.
Yeah.
Who I date, how I like, all the stuff. What foods I eat, those things.
Right.
Which then led me to probably my second one would be when I decided to take my health and my fitness seriously.
Sure.
Because I was like, something's got to change. And that took some hard work. And that's been a journey for the last 11 years. But I would put myself then in an environment where like I didn't quit. I just kept going. I kept being pressed, and I would change some different things there. So then that, which led to the next place, because I think they all kind of line up. Mm-hmm. Resiliency builds. I think it compounds. You become resilient in one place,
sure.
and then
100%.
Then more places get affected, because then those disciplines start happening in my physical life, which then kind of moved over into some more spiritual disciplines.
Sure.
I was like, man, it would be a waste of time, and I would like to gain the world, or in this case, to gain my health, but lose my spirit in the process.
Yeah, sure.
So like the amount of stuff I'm putting in here, I've got to put in on the spiritual side too, for growth and just for genuine care, which then led me to being delivered from pornography and lust addiction, 100%, and like putting those like being resilient in that, and like, hey, no, like there's things I just can't participate in any longer. Not because I don't want to, but I know it's not good for my life. Mm-hmm. And that decision was easy at that point in time, which then goes to my yes to my wife, resiliency in marriage, like that covenant there. Yeah. I think it just continues on in all those places. I mean, I could list more, but I mean, shoot, even owning a business, or I would, let's say, before the business passed, or planting our church, and not throwing in the towel when things got really, really hard.
Sure.
But not to wear that as a badge of honor. All of this is tied to like, or I believe you've asked me to do this. Yeah. And I will give everything I can to do these things to the best of my abilities. And you bless whatever you build. You build. I'm not trying to build anything in vain, so I'll participate in what you're trying to build. And you are faithful. If I am building in vain, you'll kill it. Yeah. And then I'll know this was not what you wanted for me. Yeah. Which continues to push me towards resiliency and faith in Jesus.
Yeah. Solid.
Sorry, that was a lot.
I'm here for it.
What about you?
I would sum all that up. I think a lot about I can only be really resilient in what I have responsibility for. Yeah. Back to your yes. I mean, you said yes. There's weight to that. You have a responsibility. God's not asking me to be strong for everybody. He's not asking me to be strong in everything. It's kind of like what you were saying. There are things that you test out through your life by nature of just doing things that are in front of you that you find out, hey, that's not a part of what God asked of you. So you don't have to be responsible for that. You don't have to, I'm not an economist. I'm not a coffee shop owner. Right. I tried that out. Right. But it's, when you lock into the places that there's a God-given responsibility, that's where resiliency is built. Because as you said, the Word, now I don't mean just the Bible, I mean the Word of Christ that lives in your heart that calls you to a thing, whether that be your marriage, whether that be the stuff that you do in ministry, it means the business, all that within that lordship piece that you mentioned is like, you said yes to Savior, but then there was a yes to lordship. And that lordship is not pressing you better. It is in a sense He's Lord. I mean, He can command us to do whatever He wants, and He has given us commands. But it's also in the sense of when Jesus tells the parables of a manager or of a master with managers. Master tells the managers, he says, this is what you're responsible for. parable of the talents is go-to. It's an automatic go-to for my life. He's not asking me to live my life vicariously through a 5-talent or a 1-talent guy. I call myself all the time. You probably heard me say this. I'm God's 2-talent guy. I don't want to be the 1-talent guy. I don't want to think that I'm a 5-talent guy when I'm only a 2-talent guy. I want to keep in my mind, He's given me what He's given me, responsibility over what He's given me according to my ability. And that really is responsibility. You're responding with ability. That's it. And so if something's in front of me and I have the ability to take care of it, then I need to respond and I need to do something about it. And so, as you succeed and fail in those areas, that builds something in you, which I think goes to the thing for me. The responsibility piece is massive. Integrity in inner life stuff really matters.
100%.
The more God's grown me into whatever you would say was my calling or my gifts or any of that stuff, was a direct result of how God was changing my inner life. And the more I became integral here, the more the outgrowth in my responsibilities had more weight to it. I didn't grow in any of those areas in charisma or talent or ability before God dealt with my inner life. And I think that's the way it should be. How many times have we seen a person that doesn't have resiliency grow in popularity and talent and gift and all those things, build a business, plant a church, have the family, all the things, only to their inner life not match that, and that all what they built came down. Why? Not because they weren't talented, not because they weren't successful. Their inner life didn't match.
Yeah.
So the resiliency wasn't there. They didn't embrace the pressing. And I love that word. That is so true, that the resiliency that comes in your life comes from all the areas where you have responsibility and you start getting pressed in that area. And, you mess it up sometimes, you learn. There's real-time education there.
Yeah.
Learn, do something different.
I think about even like we're currently building that gym. I've been down there while they're working a few times, and they've cut a few boards wrong, and they just throw them to the side, grab another board, and do it again.
Yeah.
They don't freak out and say, "Oh my gosh, the whole gym's got to come down there. You messed this board up. It's over with." It's gonna happen. We're gonna make some mistakes, but if you're on that foundation, like, hey, we're still building. God is building something.
Right.
As long as you're building on the foundation of Jesus, it's not like you may mess up a few times and throw a few pieces off to the side, but you're still building something that will last.
Yeah.
The only time where it all comes crumbling down is when you get off that foundation and start building on your own stuff.
ATI's used that framework for the calls this year, their meetups, and theirs is God's building a person, not a platform. Mm-hmm. And because it so matters to have your life built on something, as we go in full circle back to what we were saying, and how God builds us is honestly so reverse. It's that upside down. He's constantly saying things to us, whether in the scriptures or in our own hearts. It says, if you want to be great, you serve. Yeah. If you want to have, you give. Yeah. And so it's this constant it's not that the results won't be the same. They will look a lot alike, but they're sustainable through the resiliency Christ builds in your heart.
And I don't want to be resilient for resiliency's sake.
Right.
I just want to finish.
Tough.
I just want to finish the race.
Yeah, that's a good word.
And the only way you're going to finish the race is with resiliency. Yeah. And so I'm not trying to wear it as a badge of honor. I just know that is what is required to finish this thing that God's doing. Yeah,
your resiliency not only matters to you, but the person behind you. Yeah. And there's so much to be said. I mean, we could do another hour on why the decisions you're making and things you're doing affect other people. But as you're saying, there's a responsibility to Christ first and foremost. Do we do what God has asked us to do? And will we be there and available to do the things He's asking us to do? Because the people that get pressed, I've been pressed and wanted to quit. I talked about last night. Both of us have had this journey, even with the church. I'm sure you've had this in other areas. But both of us, with as far as leading in the church, we're both like, get me out of here. I'm done with this.
Yeah.
And to see the fruit of staying.
Yeah.
is massive.
Yeah,
and
I
not
don't
just for staying's sake, but for
and I don't
accomplishing
think
God's
there's
purposes.
anything wrong with even sometimes having the thoughts like, man, I wish I didn't have to do this anymore, because that's a space to allow the work of God
Yeah.
in your life. Because I don't. Part of me feels like if you're not saying that, then you might just be building something on your own that only requires your strength.
Mm-hmm.
In some of those places, that's where I go to, man, God, I need you more.
Yeah.
Because it is obvious that I am way beyond my pay grade
Right.
on my own. Will you work in this stuff?
I always think about when we talk about stuff like this, probably just as a point of closed, but like on Jumanji, the Welcome to the Jungle version.
Yeah.
Dr. Braystone's in that room, and there's the viper in the pot or whatever, and he's about to go and open it and grab it, and he goes up and he turns around and he goes, I do not want to do this, and I'm like, yes, like we've all been in those places, but that part was for him. In the game, he was the only character that could do that part, which is just, again, the reason we need resiliency and the reason we need to build resiliency is because there are things that only you are called to do. If you don't take responsibility for it and you don't work within that measure God's given you, we're really missing out on something God wants to do in the world.
Yeah, and you can't check out. Like we're in some of the same circles, some of the same environments together, and we've heard this recently, and you know what I'm talking about, where it's like the world is getting scary, and I don't know if I want to be here, or I don't want to raise a family in this, and I'm like, why?
Right.
Like, I get what you're saying because of the way things are going, but at the same time, like, a resilient person like will embrace God has us here.
Yeah.
Like, obviously He has us here for something He's trying to work in the world. So we can either be forged in resilience and press forward, or what? We can quit, put our head in a hole, and just let everything happen. That's why we have to embrace that stuff.
And that another reason why we're doing what we're doing. Sonship and sainthood is not an escapism.
Yeah.
We're not trying to let the world burn so we can get to heaven.
Yeah.
Sons and saints means we believe God put us here now to be His representation in the world and to affect the world around us. We're not the saviors of the world. Jesus did that. But we are here to affect change, to see His kingdom come. And if anything, His sons and His daughters and the people of God, the saints, have to be people of resiliency, or we're not going to see the kingdom come and His will be done. That sounds right on. That sounds like some smart stuff, man.
Sounds like we were tapped into something, maybe.
Yeah. The oil was dripping.
That was good. I liked it.
Well, I guess until next time. What's a byline that we have? Until next time.
I don't know.